Hi folks, welcome back to my kitchen. And tonight I'm really excited to share with you what I'm cooking for dinner. You know, as we enter into summer, I really love all the fresh produce and fruits and vegetables that become available. The smells, the taste just seems so much better when you can get it practically ripe off the vine. I have a garden, but I only grow a limited amount of things in my garden. I like going down 1 mile down my road to the farm market stand where my neighbor, who's also named Mary, has this abundance of produce. And I go there. She has daily fresh things, and I love just picking whatever's the freshest and using it in my meals. Today, what I'm going to show you is what I do with my zucchini. And zucchini I use in so many different ways. I put it in my quick breads, have it in my stir fries, so many different things. But one way I like to use it is by spiralizing it. So I'm going to show you a spiralized salad that's kind of a Capri style, and I'll show you exactly what I do. Our spiralizer has 3 different blades. It has like a thin spaghetti blade, a fettuccine blade, and more of a ribbon blade. So you can do all 3 types of cuts with them. When I'm doing zucchini, I want to cut the zucchini ends off. You want a fairly even flat cut so that it fits on the spiralizer. And then I'm going to cut it in about 4-inch lengths so it fits. Let's try that. I lift this up, and you'll see a little spike there. I'm going to center this on that spike. And see, the reason it's 4 inches is much taller than that, and it wouldn't have fit under here. There are some spikes here that are going to fit on top. I just press that down, and I'm just going to spiralize this. We're going to see it come out right here. I do that by applying a steady pressure as I'm turning. And of course it's coming out the other side. Let me just turn this so you can see it. It's coming out here. And it literally is that quick to spiralize up some spaghetti noodles. You know, zucchini noodles. They're such a nice alternative to the pasta noodles. These are lighter in carb. They're a great replacement if you're looking to reduce your carbs. I really have enjoyed switching to veggie noodles from time to time as a way of just changing up my meal and just, you know, adding some extra healthy vegetables. This spiralizer works really great with sweet potatoes, jicama, all kinds of, you know, hard vegetables. I am going to see if, I need to trim this down a little bit. I will just save this little piece for a salad. When I do this, I'm going to put the thick end down. Oops. This one little piece stayed on there. I have to pull that off or it won't grab into the next piece that I'm putting down. So I'm going to spiralize 2 good-sized zucchinis here. And what we're going to mix this with is some homemade pesto, which I'll also make for you this evening. And I'm going to put some cherry tomatoes in with it, a few, what else? Oh, some feta cheese, which I really find delicious in this salad. You can put it in there. Next, what I'm going to do is cut my cherry tomatoes. And these cherry tomatoes, you can put them in whole, but I find it's nicer when you cut them in half. But instead of spending all that time cutting each individual cherry tomato, we have this close and cut that does a really great job of cutting anything you have into half. So you'll see I've piled up a bunch of tomatoes here. I'm just going to close this down. It's spring loaded, so it will evenly distribute things between the top and the bottom. I just hold that down and I take my chef's knife. Yeah, there it is. And I cut this way. And what you will see is I've cut these tomatoes perfectly in half. Okay? It's super easy to cut anything that you want. It works great on chicken breasts. Sometimes you get chicken breasts that are way too thick. It works great on, I've done it on little things like olives even, anything that you want to cut in half. Because of its design and it's the way it's spring-loaded, it will do a perfect cut. So I'm just putting all that in with the zucchini noodles, and then I'm going to make some pesto. So we have our manual food processor. I love this thing and use it for so many things. I'll be talking more about that at another time, but I'm just going to show you briefly for those of you who don't know. It comes with this base container. It has a skid-resistant ring on the bottom so it doesn't slide around. It has this 3-blade chopping, mincing device that sits on a peg in the center. So I put that in first. This is the lid. It has a little sliding piece right here. You just unslide it to release the lid. And then you put whatever you want in here. So because I'm making pesto, I'm going to start with some olive oil. And I'm sorry, but I always just wing it. This is my version of pesto. I don't have a real specific recipe, but because I do not eat dairy of any kind, I'm allergic to it, I have made a really, really yummy pesto that's vegan. And I miss, one of the things that I love about pesto is that cheesy taste that comes through with the basil. And so the way I have found and my husband can't eat nuts, so we have to find a pesto that is nut-free, cheese-free, but still tastes delicious. So here's my recipe for that. It's olive oil. I'm going to use a little bit of miso. This is a nice red miso. I'm probably putting in, that's about a half a tablespoon or so. Just putting that in here. Then the other secret ingredient that I have, pardon me, is some nutritional yeast. I love the nutritional yeast that comes from Nutrilicious. It seems like it has the best nutty taste. When I use the nutritional yeast, it adds that nutty flavor and it adds that cheesy flavor that I really like in pesto. So I don't know how much I use. I use about that much. I'm sorry. I will try to, I don't know if I can accurately write this recipe up. There are lots of pesto recipes that I will share with you, and I'll share the basics of this recipe with you, but exact amounts are going to be tricky. Next, I'm going to put in some garlic. Our garlic press, if you don't have a good garlic press, this one is amazing. I like how easy it minces and how finely it minces the garlic. And it's just so easy to use. I don't find it difficult to press at all. It comes with this little cleaning brush. It's easy to get out the peel. So my family's, we're all garlic lovers, so that's 3 cloves. That might be a lot for you if you're not a big garlic person, but for us, that is awesome. Now I'm going to put in some basil. I've rinsed this because we don't want the pesto to get too liquidy. After I washed it, I made sure to towel it dry. And I'm just going to load this up with the basil. Sometimes, especially in the winter, I can't find basil fresh. And I still love pesto any time of the year, so I wanted to show you this. This is a pesto paste. It's basically olive oil and basil in here. And so in place of the basil, I will put some of my pesto paste along with the other ingredients I'm using, and I find that it works great. So I'm loading this up fairly high. That's all the basil I have. I'm going to put the lid on, and essentially the more you pump this, the more it will become blended. You can use the manual food processor to chop your onions, to coarsely chop things, to finely chop things. It all depends on how much you keep pumping. So you'll see that it's going round and round. It does a great job of pureeing things. We also have our food chopper, which also chops onions and nuts and things, which is great, but it doesn't do the blending of a food processor, which this does. I'm going to take a look at that. This needs more oil, and that's why I say, you know, I always have a different amount of basil, a different amount of ingredients. You just keep looking for the consistency that you want, and just add and taste until you get what you're looking for. So basically it's the nutritional yeast, the miso paste, the garlic, the basil, and then I'm going to keep going with this because I want to make lots, and that's all the basil I have. Sometimes I make it with just basil. I really like adding spinach. So this is a washed and dried spinach, and I really like adding that to my pesto as well. And my family loves it that way, so this is also how I make it in the winter with those two greens. Does a great job. Did you hear how that sounded? You could tell it wasn't catching into the center spot. There. And I think I'm going to still need more olive oil because I've really packed this up several times with greens. But as you can see, each time I pump, it's turning that blade around, chopping, mincing, blending. I have made, you know, purees in here, fruit purees, different things, so you can get things creamy. It's great for baby food. It's great for, you know, anything that you don't want to lug out the big food processor with. Yep, we're going to add a little more olive oil still. That should be the last amount that I need. Oh, it's almost done. And it smells so good. Now the miso has a bit of a salty taste. If you didn't add anything salty, then I would suggest seasoning it some. But the miso definitely adds that saltiness. I think this is great. I love that Pampered Chef has like a little scraper for whatever you need. If you need a big one, they have big ones. If you need a little one, they have little ones. It's awesome. And I'm going to show you how beautiful this looks. Now that might have been a little more olive oil now that I'm looking at it, but you can always add more greens. You can see how beautiful that is. So what I'm going to do is just put that over top of my zucchini noodles. That's probably way too much. I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to you instead of paying attention to how much I put in here. I may be adding more zucchini noodles to this because that was a whole lot. But let's just see. Actually, it's not bad at all. So there's this lovely basil pesto going over top of our zucchini noodles. And you know, I'm going to add more of that. I didn't overdo it after all. Because I really want all of those noodles to have some of that yumminess on it. Well, maybe I did it just perfectly after all. Just make sure it's all blended from, because there's a bunch of sections in here that don't have any on it. Okay, that's looking great. The one last thing I add to this, these are feta cheese cubes, but I mentioned to you that I don't eat milk. So this is from a company called BioLife, and it's called Just Like Feta, but it's plant-based instead of dairy-based. and I really like it. The taste tastes like feta, at least what I remember feta tasting like. And I'm going to add this in. And now, after that's all mixed together, we have this beautiful, delicious, light, capri-like dinner salad. And let me get a plate. So there you have it, my beautiful capri zucchini noodle salad. Yummy, quick, simple, and easy to do. And I'll have lots more different salad and produce recipes for you in the days to come.